All right, so we're back for another deep dive, and today we've got a really interesting one, I think.
Yeah, this was pretty cool.
Yeah, we're looking at Lloyd Sams.
Lloyd Sams, author, entrepreneur, and really interesting story.
Yeah, and he's got this strategy he calls the Millionaire Math Formula.
Catchy, right?
Very
Yeah.
catchy, yeah. And he's used it to basically build this whole business around his books and merchandise. So we're going to kind of break it down. What is the formula, and how did he actually put it into practice?
Yeah.
Because that's the important part.
Yeah, it's one thing to have a formula, it's another to actually make it work,
Yeah.
right? For you
And,
in the real world.
and the cool thing is, even if, you're not shooting for $1 million, which, who isn't? But you can scale these principles and use them for your own creative goals and even just your own personal finances.
Absolutely. The principles apply no matter what your goal is, whether you're an artist, a musician, or, just trying to get your finances in order.
Exactly.
So let's dive into this millionaire math formula, shall we?
Yeah, let's break it down. Because, I'll be honest, when I first heard Millionaire Math Formula, I was like, oh, this is going to be complicated.
Yeah.
I was expecting some kind of algorithm.
Like really hardcore math.
Yeah, I was a little intimidated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually surprisingly very simple.
Yeah, it is.
It's all about breaking down, a really big, audacious goal like $1 million into smaller, manageable targets. So you don't get overwhelmed.
Right, because I think that's a big thing. It's like when you look at a giant number,
You just freeze.
it's paralyzing.
Yeah.
So this kind of helps you break it down okay, what are the actual steps we need to take?
Yeah. Gives you a roadmap.
Exactly. So let's
Yeah.
get into the nuts and bolts. How did Lloyd Sams actually use this to hit that $1 million target?
All right. So the formula itself is really simple. Price of product, X number of sales. Revenue goal. You take the price of what you're selling, multiply it by how many you need to sell, and that equals how much money you'll make.
Okay, so that makes sense. It's just, basic multiplication.
Yeah.
But how did he apply that? Did he just focus on one product, or how did he?
So he actually diversified. He had three main income streams. So first, obviously, his books, right? He's an author.
Right. Think no.
So his goal was to sell 100,000 copies of his books at $10 each.
Okay, so 100,000 copies. Now that number in itself sounds like a lot.
It's ambitious.
Did he already have a huge fan base, or was this part of his strategic plan to grow?
That's a great question. So no, he didn't have a massive pre-existing fan base. This was all part of his growth strategy.
Right.
And this is where his understanding of marketing, particularly digital marketing, really comes into play.
Right.
So he knew that to hit that 100,000 copy goal, he needed to build a strong online presence.
Okay, so social media, website, all that.
Exactly. Social media was key. He focused on platforms like Instagram, Facebook, and even TikTok.
Okay, so hitting all the major ones. And how did he use each platform? Was it just blasting out the same message everywhere?
No, that's a good point. He was very strategic about how he used each platform.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So, for example, Instagram was all about the visuals,
Mhm.
right? Beautiful imagery that showcased the world of his books, behind-the-scenes peaks.
Okay, building the brand.
Exactly. It was all about creating a lifestyle around his books, almost like a brand experience.
Okay, that's smart.
Facebook was more community-focused. He would use it to engage with readers, start discussions, really foster a sense of belonging.
Okay, yeah, build that connection.
Exactly. And then TikTok, which is obviously all about short-form video content, he used that for, more playful stuff, like funny skits related to his books, behind-the-scenes glimpses of his writing process, things like that.
Oh, so keeping it fresh and fun.
Exactly. Bite-sized content to grab people's attention.
Okay, so really tailored to each platform.
Exactly. Each platform served a different purpose.
Very smart.
Hmm.
So that's the books. Now, you mentioned he had other income streams, right? You said T-shirts and something else.
Yeah. So he also wanted to tap into merchandise, which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Capitalize on the popularity of the books.
Right. Leverage that.
So he planned to sell 50,000 branded T-shirts at $20 each.
Okay, so not just slapping the book cover on a shirt.
No. He was much more creative than that. He actually designed unique artwork for the shirts.
Oh, interesting.
So it wasn't just like a logo or the book cover.
Yeah.
It was original art that expanded on the themes and imagery from his books.
Okay, so almost like wearable extensions of the stories.
Exactly. Fans could literally wear their love for his books.
I like that, yeah. And what was that third income stream?
This is where he got really clever. He created these limited edition bundles.
Oh, okay. Bundle deal.
Yeah, but these were really special. He would combine a signed copy of one of his books with exclusive merchandise you couldn't get anywhere else.
Okay. What kind of merchandise?
Things like limited edition artwork prints, character-inspired jewelry, custom-designed bookmarks, all kinds of cool stuff.
Oh, that's cool. And he bundled these with the books?
Yep. And he planned to sell 20,000 of these bundles at $50 each.
Okay, so the key here being like limited edition, so it creates that like
Sourcing.
scarcity, yeah, and exclusivity.
Exactly. And that drives up the perceived value.
Okay. So it sounds like he had like a really solid plan here.
He did. He thought everything through.
But I imagine it wasn't easy to get all of this off the ground, right? Like, did he do it all himself?
Well, he was definitely the driving force, but he was smart enough to know that he couldn't do it all alone.
Right.
He understood the power of collaboration and partnerships.
Okay, so like working with other people.
Yeah, so for example, he partnered with influencers, people who had a large following online that align with his target audience.
Okay, that makes sense.
So he would send them early copies of his books, some of the merchandise, and they would review them, promote them to their followers.
Oh, that's a good strategy. So like tapping into an already established audience.
Exactly. It's much more effective than trying to build a following from scratch.
Right. Any other partnerships?
He also collaborated with other authors, particularly those in his genre, which is fantasy.
Okay, makes sense.
They would do joint book signings, online events, things like that, cross-promotion.
Right, yeah. Get each other's names out there.
Exactly. It's a win-win situation.
Very smart. It sounds like he had like a really, comprehensive online strategy. Did he do anything offline as well to connect with his audience?
Absolutely. He understood that face-to-face interactions are incredibly valuable.
Okay, yeah.
So he organized book tours, and not just at your typical bookstores.
Right.
He would go to Comic-Cons, fan conventions. He even did pop-up shops in themed locations.
Oh, that's cool.
Anything to connect with his readers on a personal level.
Okay, so like really thinking outside the box.
Yeah, he didn't limit himself.
So he had online, offline. It sounds like it was all going pretty smoothly, but surely he must face some challenges along the way, right?
Of course.
Yeah. Every entrepreneurial journey has its bumps.
Absolutely. I mean, nothing's ever perfect.
So what were some of the things he struggled with?
Well, one of the biggest challenges was competition. The market for fantasy books is incredibly saturated.
Right. So how did he stand out?
He focused on building a strong personal brand. It wasn't just about the books themselves, it was about the connection he created with his readers.
Okay, so like they were buying into him as an author, not just the specific book.
Exactly. They were investing in the world he had created and the community he built around it.
So like the whole package.
Exactly.
Now, besides competition, I imagine there are also financial challenges, right?
Absolutely. Production costs were a big factor.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the merchandise, that's got to add up.
Yeah, printing, packaging, high-quality materials, it all adds up. So he had to be very mindful of his profit margins and adjust his pricing accordingly.
Okay, so it's like a constant balancing act.
Exactly. You got to stay on top of it.
Now, what about like the long term? Did he have any strategies for staying relevant and keeping things going?
He did. He introduced a subscription model.
Oh, interesting. What kind of subscription?
So he offered a monthly box that included a new book, exclusive merchandise you couldn't get anywhere else, and behind-the-scenes content like author notes and things like that.
Oh, okay. So like a little care package for his fans every month.
Exactly. And this was a brilliant move for a couple of reasons. One, it created recurring revenue, which is always good for a business.
Right. Stable income.
Exactly. And two, it fostered a deeper sense of loyalty among his most dedicated fans.
Okay, so it's like they feel like they're part of something special.
Exactly. And they're more likely to stick around for the long haul.
So that's smart, locking in those sales. Now, what about his online store? Was there anything special about that?
Yeah, he invested a lot of time and money into making sure his website was top-notch.
Okay. What do you mean by top-notch?
Well, it had to be easy to navigate. Secure checkout was essential. Mobile-friendly design, because so many people shop on their phones these days.
Right, yeah.
He knew that if the website was clunky or difficult to use, people would just leave.
Okay, yeah. Frustration, bounce rates, all that.
Exactly. He had to make it as easy as possible for people to buy his stuff.
So a really, comprehensive approach to the whole thing.
Yeah, he left no stone unturned.
Now, what about the future? What's next for Lloyd Sams Enterprises?
Well, he's definitely not slowing down. He's currently working on a new fantasy series. He's got tons of new merchandise ideas in the works, and he's even looking into global distribution.
Wow, so he's built like a real empire here.
He has. It's pretty impressive.
It is. So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, what would you say are the key takeaways for our listeners?
I think the biggest takeaway is that the Millionaire Math Formula, it's not just about the money.
Right.
It's about having a clear plan. Breaking down a seemingly impossible goal into smaller, achievable steps. And it's about combining that planning with action, with marketing savvy, with the willingness to adapt and overcome challenges.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people, they get stuck in the planning phase.
Absolutely.
They never actually take that leap.
You got to take action.
Yeah, and he clearly did. And he was smart about it.
Yeah, he was very strategic.
So it's inspiring, to see how he was able to translate his passion into a successful business.
It really is. It shows what's possible.
So as we wrap up, here's a thought for you listening out there.
Yeah.
What's your $1,000,000 idea?
Ooh, I like that.
And how can you start applying these principles, even on a smaller scale, to make it happen?
Because it doesn't have to be $1 million.
It doesn't have to be. It could be, a side hustle. It could be anything.
It's the principles that matter.
Exactly. And that's what we're all about here, right?
Yeah.
Taking these big ideas, breaking them down, and figuring out how to make them work for you.
Ah.
So thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Hopefully you found this one helpful.
And inspiring.
Yeah, inspiring. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.